Come with me to a place where sea meets land, with waves lapping on majestic black sand, where coral reefs are home to intriguing underwater phenomena, where clouds come down to kiss hills of lush forests containing unique flora and fauna, where mangroves tiptoe over ponds of ecosystems containing the lifeblood of rare species.
Where? St. Mary's in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Situated on the island of St. Kitts, St. Mary's was designated as a UNESCO Man and the Biosphere project at the 36th session of the UNESCO General Conference in early November 2011. This designation recognizes the importance of the site in terms of biological diversity, ranging from cloud forests to mangroves and coral reefs. Winston Ebro Caesar, a resident of the Keys area, made a key contribution to the UNESCO nomination process.
The core, which is the beach and the seawater side. The buffer zone is from the shoreline extend to the village side. The village side is what we call the transition side. Now we are seeing that the buffer side of the transition of the zone is a development site that could enhance tourism and entrepreneurship. But after observing the natural habitat of the birds, the turtles, etc., that's one of the main reasons that it should be a controlled environment, but also be able to create economical strength. It extended right onto Hermitage, as far as we call the Grange Bay. From my understanding, it was to be 24,000 acres from the Canada Pond to extend right down.
This significance has long been recognized by residents of St. Kitts and Nevis.
We believe in the raising of the profile of our community. We're always proud of our beach. We believe that the coastline, we're a community that any given holiday, we want to be on the beach for that Sunday or that holiday as a community. And so that the preservation of that area would be pristine for us, especially in the Keys area. We believe that whatever happens to preserve even the sea grapes, that's one thing we do as a community. We go and we pick grapes. And so whatever happens through this Man and the Biosphere project that helps us to preserve what has been a rich history for us as a community, we are happy to preserve it.
Growing up, I always know there was picnic tins and steel pans. Our grandparents said they used to dress in similar ways, men and women alike. And they go down with their basket of food, and they have music, and they have storytellings, and a whole community togetherness. So we are looking to see if we could enhance that kind of a wholesomeness in our people again, to help guide the new way of life that we think that we should be living, seeing what is taking place in our time.
It's important that we identify key sites around the country that can help to build the tourism product. We believe that the Keys Beach area offers a lot to citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and all sorts of visitors. For example, the Keys Beach area offers a site where there is regular turtle watching, and there are a number of persons here who are amateur turtle watchers and observers and things like that. So it is really in an attempt to identify key areas in St. Kitts and Nevis where we feel we can build upon the tourism product.
Who, along with Caesar, were key in the process.
Over the past couple of years, the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for UNESCO have been working tirelessly on the process in nominating the Keys Beach area as a Man and the Biosphere site. And we're now successful doing this. The process started like maybe 3 years ago, and we were fortunate to get on board at that time 2 consultants out of the United States who were living here at the time. And special commendation and acknowledgement must be given to the Ministry of Sustainable Development, the National Commission itself, the Small Island Vice Committee, the St. Kitts and Nevis Sea Turtle Monitoring Network organization and the minister responsible for UNESCO himself, Honorable Nigel Carty. These people have worked very hard to ensure that we achieve this very, very important goal. It is up to us now to make good of it, to attract much more funding from international agencies throughout the world, including UNESCO, to develop the space for it to benefit the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and especially those persons living in that particular area.
The Ministry of Sustainable Development, through its Physical Planning and Environment Department, headed by Director of Planning Randolph Edmeade, also contributed to the process. Jay Farrier, Physical Planner, represents the department.
We are a relevant stakeholder, of course. We were there from the initial stages. We did most of the mapping work, and we had a voice in deciding which area was appropriate for a biosphere reserve.
One honorary national and president of the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network weighs in on the matter.
The Keys Beach area is the main nesting site for leatherback sea turtles in St. Kitts. Our second beach is North Friars, but Keys hosts around 40 to 65 adult females each year. We have around 300 leatherback nests per season. These animals are listed as critically endangered, which means they've lost 80% of their population over the past 3 generations. So if we don't act to protect these nests and these animals, we have the potential to lose this nesting site and our nesting leatherback sea turtles. So it's very critical as far as sea turtle nesting goes. We also have some hawksbill nesting on this beach and some green nesting as well. The hawksbill sea turtle is listed as critically endangered and the green as endangered. So they're all at an endangered status level, and it's very important that we protect their nesting habitat.
The UNESCO Small Islands Voice Committee, which has the objective of giving residents of the Federation a voice pertaining to national issues, particularly relating to the environment, was also instrumental. Larry Vaughan is also a member of SIV.
Small Island Voice Initiative has been doing a lot. And when the nominations papers were sent off for the Man in the Biosphere preservation of the area there of Keys, Keon, there was consultation with the community. There was a training session in the community. And so what this has done, in my opinion, is that it gives a voice to our concerns that would not have normally been given. A lot of things happen in these small islands that have not been given the international hearing and understanding. And so once you've got one of these places that is rare and should be preserved, and Small Island Voice has now brought this to the fore, then I want to believe that lending my voice and being a part of the committee would help to make sure that this is continued.
Pertaining to livelihoods, the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network already plays a significant role in not simply reducing, if not eradicating, poaching of sea turtles, but also maintaining incomes.
With the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network, we've been working to develop leatherback ecotourism over the past 3 years. We started initially through the Global Environmental Facilities Small Grants Fund. We got a small grant to start developing that. And we've been running around 300 ecotours per season, which is the maximum capacity that we can manage right now without further infrastructure. But tourists, visitors pay a fee to come out with a trained guide. In our case, most of these trained guides are local fishermen. Many of them were former sea turtle fishermen, which are now working on the conservation project. So all the proceeds for those tours go in to pay for salaries for those individuals. Last year we were able to fund, we had 9 individuals working on the project. Some were funded through the university, and then 3 at least were funded through Leatherback Ecotours alone. So with further infrastructure developed and more marketing, now that this area is protected, we have the ability to develop this. Another thing we're really working towards is getting an interpretive center so that we can not only target overnight guests that are coming in to see these nesting leatherbacks, but also guests that are coming in on cruise ships that can come through, see educational exhibits, have some of the staff teach them about sea turtles, the ecosystem we have here on the beach, the nesting birds that we have here. That would serve as another tour area. Also, we have a recycled glass project where we take broken glass and form it into jewelry. That would be an area where we could actually have demonstrations where this jewelry product was made and sold. So the potentials for ecotourism related to sea turtles are really endless for us here in St. Kitts. We have the opportunity to be a leader in that area in the Caribbean, and the designation of this area as a protected biosphere reserve has really moved that process forward. We're very excited about it.
An official certificate provides proof of the designation. This was handed over to Honorable Patrice Nisbet, who was the then acting Minister of Education. So what's next?
Basically, to put a management plan in place, that's first and foremost, and the management plan has to include the community. That's a very important characteristic of a biosphere reserve, the community involvement, the human development aspect. So I would envision that those two would be next, a management plan and getting the community on board.
That there are some areas that would be given activities similar to what happens at the Strip. I'm told that the Keys Beach has been considered because of that long stretch of sand that would be open to sunbathing and that kind of activity. Whatever happens there, and if it gives economic activity, but once it preserves that turtle nesting, because at some point there might be the noise that comes with it, and one doesn't know if noise would turn back the turtles that would come for nesting, and so one has to be very careful once you look at the tourism aspect of it. But once we look at the man and the biosphere aspect of it, where we're looking at preserving what is the natural and the flora and the fauna of the area, then hey, we are happy as a community for that.
But on the behalf of the activities, being able to advance activities in a 24-acre zone that comprise 3 communities in the northeast area, I think the younger people, especially the male, who is so fascinated now on the computer system and the music is now showing a lot of clips from different places and very beautiful sites. So I think we have a lot of work to be done with the youths when it comes to their development into the new way of high-tech order. We have photography, we have sightseeings, we have activities that they can get involved in because it's about them. Myself is a part of the shareholder ownership there already, that is to come. So now that it's all work out, I have a clearer aspect where I'm heading for. Mine is as music and food, enhancing a different type of food to how we eat. Everybody say, culture food, but where's the culture food? So all this will help the people to come from far and near and have some regular activities there 24 hours, I hope.
Well, for sea turtles specifically, when you look at leatherback ecotourism, for example, one of the primary uses that we've had for sea turtles in our past was harvesting them. When you have a sea turtle come up and you harvest her, you've removed her from the population, so you've made money off of that turtle one time. But when you look at a leatherback sea turtle, for example, she can come up to nest up to 12 times in one nesting season. So charging a tour fee for those visitors to view this sea turtle with a trained guide, our base fee is $60 US. They get 4 hours with a guide of intense education. They get a beverage and information on sea turtles. Each time that turtle comes up, we take out 10 people to view her. You look at it, that's $600 US per tour. She has the potential to generate over $6,000 US per season. And then she'll come back 2 years from now if we protect the habitat and our nesting turtles to nest again. So that's a renewable source of income that is very exciting for St. Kitts and from an ecotourism perspective. And then looking at the spin-off of not only viewing the turtles, but the potential for the Keys community itself to have a bed and breakfast type situation in the community where we're attracting individuals that are interested in ecotourism, that see St. Kitts as a leader in sea turtle conservation, coming and staying, eating locally, staying within the community, coming down and participating in the tour process. Also, not only from a sea turtle perspective, but from nesting birds, daytime tours. We have least terns and Wilson's plovers that actually nest here. Both species of those animals, one is threatened and one is listed as endangered throughout their range in North America. They nest right out here on the beach in what we call little scrapes, so their nests are not very protected from the environment. So that's another opportunity for tourists to learn about another species that's very important here on the beach. So the potential for ecotourism here is really limitless.
We are a small country. We have some beaches, we have good sun, we have good weather. But I think if we are going to take our tourism industry to the next level, we need to identify key sites. We believe that in the future, more and more people are going to be looking for what we call ecotourism. They're coming to places where there are reserves with animals and species of plants which perhaps don't exist anywhere else. And we believe that the Keys Beach area offers us that kind of opportunity. It also offers us an opportunity to really reserve the site to ensure that the species, we as people of St. Kitts and Nevis, need to begin to look at helping to maintain the kinds of species and the kinds of conditions which support the livelihood of certain species of plants and animals which exist in the area. This, we believe, is very important. You may also have heard about the OPAL project, which is the OECS Protected Areas and Livelihoods project, where we have reserved every part of St. Kitts and Nevis falling above 1,000 feet above sea level as an area which will not be exploited or explored. All of these things are in recognition of the fact that we need to protect the environment. We need to keep it for our children or grandchildren, because if we depend upon tourism and if we are going to help our people to really build a life around tourism and other related activities, then we have to care for the environment and we have to care for the things that are around us.
Where is the monetary investment to be found? Or, at least, where is the seed funding going to come from? What does the UNESCO MAB designation in itself mean to the Federation? Who best to answer than Antonio Maynard?
We are indeed very pleased that the Keys Beach area in St. Kitts is now inscribed and included in the World Network of Biosphere Reserve in the UNESCO Man and the Biosphere program. In fact, we are especially proud of this designation as it constitutes the first ever MAB site in the English-speaking Caribbean region. So we're very, very proud about that. It is a great opportunity for us now to work towards developing this site in collaboration with the residents that live in the area and other stakeholders. The site will also be developed as a learning tool for climate change adaptation practices for students in particular, as well as a tourism attraction in the future.
It is now up to the residents of the area to seek funding, and with the assistance